system here that's, all right, here we are. We're back right here. Let me check a couple little things here, check some boxes and make sure everything is going to go great. Well, I'm Jerry McKee. Welcome to Prime Time. We got a special guest for you today, and you probably heard him a while back, but you didn't quite see him much, but you just kind of heard of him. And when we're doing some trivia and music and stuff like that, it's like almost a battle of the wits there a little bit with him and Brian. They both just know all kind of music, all kind of people and backgrounds, and it just makes my head hurt just trying to figure it out, but it's a good thing. But we're going to be coming back talking with Pat Gwinn, and I hope you stay tuned because we're going to have some great information for you. Some little trivia maybe, who knows? We might throw you something out there. But we're going to go and, let me switch back here where I can see where we're going to go to. We're going to go and let's see a little clip here of one of Pat's advertisements for his worldwide voice that goes all across the United States and around the world, actually. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll be back right after this little message.
Coast to coast and around the world, you're listening to the weekly countdown to the hottest in Carolina beach music. Hello again, everyone. It's Pat Gwinn. What an absolute honor to name the latest Legend Award recipient from Pat Gwinn at the Beach and Pat Gwinn Radio. Please welcome songwriter, female vocalist of the year, and one of the signature voices in all of Carolina beach music to our class of 2024, Lisa Hudson. Lisa has written over 100 songs, and out of that 100 songs or more, she's released about 50 or more songs on CDs, with roughly 40 of those charting in the top 5 on various radio charts. 15 songs that Lisa's released over the years have reached #1 in beach music. Please welcome Lisa Hudson, our latest Legend Award recipient from Pat Gwinn at the Beach.
Song number 2. And now, the #1 song.
There you have it, the top 10 in Carolina beach music. At #1, Rick Strickland, Joined at the Heart.
Coast to coast, it's Pat Gwynn's Beach Music Countdown.
All right, here we are. Whoops, I got to go back here. I've got to do something wrong here. Pat, how you doing?
I'm doing real well. Hope you are.
I'm doing great. I've got to get with my wife here in a minute here to see how our everything's going here. I'm just going to move around just a little bit, and I want to get this out of here too.
How's the traffic in Buffalo?
Well, the traffic in Buffalo, as you know, is great. The only traffic we have in Buffalo is the ducks that's going across the street. Remember,
I thought it was everyone trying to get into Midway.
Well, that they are on each end, but do you remember the ducks?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and
they're at the Buffalo Pond.
Yes, yeah. and people really don't realize that that these ducks, that you got one big duck comes out and almost like stops traffic while the other little ducks go across. And and I don't know why they haven't put duck crossing signs up. Now we got deer crossing signs everywhere. Yeah. We got dog crossings. We've got all these crossings, but we don't have a duck crossing.
It's hard to imagine.
Hey, I gotta take.
I don't know why they don't.
I gotta do a GoFundMe page for the ducks.
Let's do it. We'll put it on the air this week.
There you go. That'd be great.
Well, how are you and Miss Edna doing?
We are doing great, and I know you and your wife is doing great. But you better not put her on now, because we are live, and she will hang you.
Oh yeah, she has left the building.
Left the building. Yeah. Well, mine's down in the other room and shut the door.
She was smart.
Well, she does pop out if I say something wrong or something goes wrong here. She will pop out and say, something's wrong, and she got that panic look in her eyes, and I'm sitting here, okay, let me push a button or two, because usually.
Yeah, I I get the school teacher stare from Denise when I know that I've done something wrong. I just get the look. She doesn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
And I just melt.
Well, I think all women have that because Edna's got that look. Her children told me about that look, and now that look scares all of us. So how's your day been today? It's pretty hectic. People think that.
How is life in Union? What's going on there?
Well, it's same old, just regular old Union, and things are kind of growing a little bit.
That's good.
Now, Pat, you being a syndicated DJ, and a lot of people don't realize sometimes what that is, and you actually, your voice and you are around the world, actually.
Right.
I mean, you're in all different places now. You got some radio DJs that just cater to the surrounding counties, and that's pretty well it. But you go way beyond that. Tell the folks some places that they can hear Pat Gwinn at the beach, and here also we got several different things because you got some other things going on with some soul and some jazz, I think, and so.
Well, what we did back in 2001, we started the syndicated show Pat Gwinn at the Beach. We were working at a radio station in the upstate of South Carolina. It was a Friday afternoon, and the guy came in and said, let's liven this up a little bit. The oldies sound very old. And they did. It was kind of like the same 12 old songs over and over, kind of like listening to radio all the time. So we added beach music, and it was something that I really didn't understand or really know, or a bunch of the artists. The first interview that we did was Billy Scott, and that's a heck of a way to start when you have the premier artist who actually lived in Augusta, Georgia, and he drove up to Abbeville. And that Friday afternoon, we talked with him, and from there it grew. Our first affiliate was in Newberry at WKDK with Jimmy Coggins. BCU and Union picked it up not long after that. And over the last 20 years, we've amassed almost 200 affiliates around the country and the world, from London, Toronto, Costa Rica, the Philippines, all over the place. And I think the biggest one is New York City and Los Angeles and Seattle. We're on Atlanta. The list goes on and on. I can't, Denise has a spreadsheet for me to follow to make sure everyone gets what they need. But we created the beach music show, and then we had a guy by the name of Chuck Matthews that is the host of Greatest Hits USA out of Cleveland's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Chuck called me one day and says, there's a void for soul music. So like I have all this extra time on my hands, we created the Soul Vault. It's a 2-hour Stax Atlantic Motown party kind of thing. We have interviews with Temptation, Smokey Robinson, Aretha when she was living. The only thing we're not doing at the moment is country, but don't rule it out.
Well, I wouldn't rule that out either because it's kind of hot now. The old country, I kind of like the older country a little bit better.
The real country.
Yes. I wasn't going to say that, but yes, you're right. And
the real country was when Lee Greenwood and Ronnie McDowell came into town to see Barbara Rippey and Doris Addison back at the Old Belt downtown in Smith Drugstore. That was my indoctrination into country music when I was working as a kid at BCU and Union. That was a heck of a ride, and what a great start.
Oh, I made so. I got to ask you this right here. You talk about that.
Yes,
you're around the world. You're in the Philippines, stuff like that. Now, do they change your language around when you sound like you're speaking the Philippines?
I really want to see how they do that, but no, they just do. Sometimes I'll get this note: who's the American guy, or who's the guy over in the USA that's doing this show in London? Because I'm sure I stand out quite well. But we're on 4 or 5 stations in London and the UK, Berkshire, and some others with beach music of all things. And they have the Soul Vault. We created a show called The Golden Hour, which brings up the 70s and 80s, the iconic music of the 70s and 80s. We've had interviews with Ron Dante of the Archies, if you remember him.
Oh, yes.
John Waite, Missing You. Gosh, the list, I mean, I've got a list you wouldn't believe of the people we interviewed. I actually wrote it down for you, but I'm not going to go through all those. But there's some pretty strong entertainers in there that we've had the pleasure to talk to, get to know a little bit, and visit with on occasion whenever they come to town or we go to see them.
I think that's the exciting part about what you do is getting to meet some of these artists and you know, and people really they're down to earth people. I mean, they've got a great story to tell, and I can imagine some of your interviews there asking them, you know, how they got their start, and because a lot of young people or a lot of people getting into music. I was up in Nashville this past week and seeing some of the artists, you know, going around with their backpacks and stuff, you know, and singing some of the clubs there. They're after that big break right there.
Yeah, you know, Monty Allen, who is from Lockhart, as you know, Monty.
Yes.
Buddy's son and his mom, God rest her soul. Just Butchie. Wonderful guy. He actually sang at our wedding for Denise and I. And then you go down the road and you see him playing with Alan Jackson. And you say, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I knew him when. And, you know, we've interviewed people like Sam Phillips that was at Sun Records, Joe Esposito, Mike Love of the Beach Boys. I mean, Bill Champlin of Chicago. To get to know those guys and hear the inside story of how they started. And, you know, as a minister, you know it's a God-given talent. And I've always referred to music as, especially for a songwriter, when you sit down on Thursday, Friday, or even Monday afternoon to start writing your sermon, there are thoughts that are going on that you're trying to convey, and you can't really put them on paper. But when you have the talent, the God-given talent, to write music before anyone's ever heard it, that to me is beyond a miracle. To take something, put it on paper, put it out, and, you know, you put your soul out there for everyone to judge. You don't realize that. When you stand in the pulpit, people are listening. What did Jerry say?
Well,
you know,
at least we're hoping they are.
Yeah, you grasp onto it and say, man, that's kind of a miracle that they have that spunk to go out and do those things. Right.
And, you know, and some of your artists there, and I've interviewed some, but not no big name ones like you have there, a lot of their songs that they write, it tells a story, something in there that they've either observed or saw, or maybe someone wrote a song and said, hey, can you really look at this and try to and see if you want to produce it? Yeah. You know, we had a great opportunity in Greenwood. We went back to, Denise and I went back to Meg's house. Meg's house is a home for abused women and children in Greenwood. It's a protection service. We went there to do a thing called In the Round. We did the music night. It was a fundraiser for Meg's house. When I got there, unbeknownst to me, you don't ask where Meg's house is. Police will put you against a car and ask you why you want to know. So I found that out the hard way. But you remember Alice Hodges? She's from Union. She and I went to school together. She's a very dear friend, wonderful lady. She runs the program there. And on this particular night, I was blessed beyond measure to meet a guy by the name of Kim Williams. Kim Williams had been burned immensely. I mean, unrecognizable. He wrote the song 3 Wooden Crosses for Randy Travis. That is a great song. It is one of the best. And he told the story about how it came about and so forth. And to sit and listen to it, I get chills now just thinking about the stories that we've heard over the years. And, you know, those are treasures. Right. And to me, doing these radio shows, if you don't record them, they're going to be lost forever. Right. Don Wise, who played with Delbert McClinton forever, he told me once, he said, Pat, once I blow that horn, that note's gone forever. I can't bring it back. Wow. Well, you know, 3 Crosses you talk about there, it took me several times to listen to that song to see who he is talking about kind of at the end, how he played in to that story. And
Yes, sir.
and towards the end, I said, wow, he is the son of the prostitute that changed her life. And
That's right.
And you're right, that was just a fantastic story. So
It's a great
you got to
story.
hear from the guy that wrote it.
Yeah.
Man, that is so cool, because you're hearing it from this guy that wrote it, and his feelings. Because you can read something, but if you write it and you're telling about
Sure.
it, you put your feelings into it.
Absolutely.
So
And we sit down, with those artists, and a lot of them just break out into, for a better word, into emotional fit, because it triggers things that made them put it on paper.
right,
You can look back. I remember my career started in Union, as you know, at
right,
BC with Ed Osborne and all those guys. And to move on from there to different radio stations and larger markets, you meet other people. And we went to Atlanta one night, underground Atlanta, to see Mark Colley. Mark Colley's an incredible guitarist and country singer. He was started in Nashville. The series on, I believe, is HBO or show. But I'm being corrected, on Nashville Paramount. And to hear the stories behind what happened to get him to where he is. Even The Man in the Moon is Crying. That song, if you ever listen to the lyrics to it, it'll change your life a little bit, because it makes you realize who and what in life. I look back at Charles Pope of the Tams. His brother Joe hustled. They hustled in Augusta, Georgia. They learned to harmonize under the street lamps on Broad Street in Augusta. They used to spend their days working in the pool hall as pool sharks. And that's how they made their living. And eventually they got the big break with Be Young, Be Foolish, Be Happy.
right. Great
And
song.
that song didn't come easy. They went to Bill Lowry and asked Bill to let him record it. He says, "Oh, you don't want to do that. It's been done 2 or 3 times. It has no legs." But they put their own spin to it, and they made it very historic.
Right. I just played it. I was playing some music on my back porch and broadcasting out to the neighborhood like I do sometimes. And that's one of my favorite songs I play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, my sister loves your concerts.
yeah, he blots out. Yeah, it's kind of funny how sometimes I get a message up there, hey, can you play this? You don't even know anybody's listening, but
Oh, that's awesome.
but it's fun to play. And I love music, but I have to work. You work in music, so you really you probably have a job, and I don't want to say that it's not a hard work, 'cause it is. You're trying to.
It's a lot of.
Because you're broadcasting all over the place. You got to prepare things. You got to get yourself prepared, and it's not easy
Sure.
to talk to yourself, is it?
One of the biggest things that I think you can be anyone you want to be when you go in that room. Think
Yeah.
about that a moment. You go into that 10 by 10 room or whatever size it is. It's you and the microphone. You picture one person, and that's who you're talking to for the day. And you can cut up. You can have fun with it. You can be serious. You can take it to heart. But the best thing that you do by the end of the day is make a friend. And, today Eddie Floyd celebrates his 84th birthday. And Eddie was one of the best interviews we ever did. And I look at the life of Jeff Cook of Alabama, people that we knew, people that we hung out with at the Alabama Theater. And it just, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I feel like. Even though I get up very early in the morning and I'm in there late at night, it's still a labor of love, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yours, most DJs in the radio station, what is it, 3 hours or 4 that usually
Well,
they're.
it really depends on the market. For example, I'm on every day in New York City. I'm on 95.1 WOLD in New York. I'm on from 10 until 3. In South Carolina, I'm on 10 till 3. I know you're saying, how do you do that? On Carolina Gold, 93.7, 93.9, 106.3. Technology is amazing. I can do a radio show in New York in a matter of 20 minutes, and it'll fill in 5 hours. Back in the day when Carlisle Henderson and I were there, or Jack Roper and the other guys, we had to literally sit in that room for those hours. But I guess the normal now is 3 to 4 hours.
Okay. Well, that's what I was saying. Some that goes on and have their live shows.
Yes, sir.
And they're on there. If I'm not mistaken, they go anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. Because I used to DJ at a country western station years ago, and
yes, sir.
here I am in this little box, and sometimes if you let your head think about, say, well, who am I talking to? Who is this right here? You start getting stuttered.
Yeah, you get a little panicked.
You're right, because
and then you realize that you don't have, right as the song is ending, you don't realize over there that turntable is empty. Then you have to really focus and get that queued up real quickly.
Yeah, and people don't really. You had 2 or 3 turntables here that you spin it to where you can hear it, and where you got right there at it. They started up without any drag.
Yes, sir.
And then you got
then there was no needle burn on the front of it.
Yeah, then you got all these tapes in front of you. It's got commercials on them.
Oh yeah.
That you got to slide in there. And if you're 10 seconds late, you done lost a lot of money, didn't you?
Well, you lost a lot of money, and you made your program director or your boss mad because you took money out of his pocket. One of the sweetest people on earth is Barbara Rippey here in Union. Barbara was kind of like a mentor to me, she and Bobby. I remember one morning that I just had been promoted to morning guy there at the radio station, and I had one of the worst colds on earth. I mean, I sounded like Clarence Frogmore Henry. I couldn't clear it to save my life. And here comes Barbara, microphone's on. It's Barbara. She opens the door, walks in, sits it down, says, "Take this." She was tired of hearing it. So here comes the direct sorrel, the Gatorade and everything. And she's a wonderful lady. Well, to the moon and back, as she says.
And that is the greatest thing about a small town and small town radio.
Absolutely.
Is that people just wave at you, walk in. I mean, you're sitting right there on the sidewalk, just about behind the glass, and like you said, Barbara just comes walk in, and you might have somebody come off street and just pop the door open and say, "Hey," and
Joe Moore used to do that every day from the hair shop.
Yeah, and say that is the great things about being a insight DJ. And
it is.
I know me growing up like that, DJs would come out and promote a movie or something like at the theater and set up, like when Grease come out, it was a big thing.
Yes, sir.
They got playing Grease, people was out there dancing and stuff like that. And to me, the DJs, they celebrity. They were a bigger celebrity than the artists they played.
Yeah, they became that way after a while. Yeah, I mean, look at the Coffee Sipper.
Yeah. And
he became extremely well known there. And my friend Jack Roper, who just retired from TV7 WSPA after 39 years. I mean, household name. And everyone loves him. I mean, Jack couldn't do wrong, except some days. But
when his magic goes bad.
Yeah.
Or one of his jokes goes bad.
Yeah, there were a few of those.
Yeah. Well, you had like Wolfman Jack went on, Casey Kasem, you had Dick Clark, then the Soul Train come in and all.
Yes, sir, Don Cornelius.
Right. Now, you got a Soul Vault. What are some of the songs of some of the artists that you got on your show there with the Soul Vault?
The Soul Vault is a 2-hour show that promotes Motown, Atlantic, Stax, Chess Records back in the day. Stax Vault story is pretty incredible. The music of Wayne Jackson. People don't realize that he and Andrew Love were part of the Memphis Horns. Those two guys played on 33 of the top 100 songs of all time as horn players. He wrote a book, and I have it in my office. In fact, it's in the Spiral. It was before it even went to press. He had signed it and sent it to us. Some of the background stories of babysitting Elvis and those kind of things. I'll have to share that book with you one day.
Babysitting Elvis. Oh man.
But we featured a lot of that stuff, and one of the best interviews we ever had was with Wink Martindale. All of us remember Wink from the game shows, but Wink was an incredible DJ out in Los Angeles. He was one of the guys that helped discover Elvis. He actually went to the theater that night the first time that It's All Right Mama played. Elvis was terrified to hear it, so he ran to see a Western double feature sitting in a theater, and Wink Martindale goes up and down the aisles looking for him. And they take him back to the studio, and he had his first ever live interview that night there on the radio station in Tennessee.
See, I never knew Wink Martindale was ever a DJ. I always thought he was the host of the game show, and that was it. Never knew that. Yeah,
Wink Martindale actually is the host of the History of Rock and Roll. It airs on about 100 stations all over the country.
Wow.
He's on every weekend, all over the place. He's an incredible storyteller.
Was not Chuck Berry. What is the guy who was on the Gong Show?
Oh, Chuck Barris.
Yes. I don't know if he was a...
Yeah. He did that little dance.
Yes. I think it's Gene the Dancing Machine, wasn't it?
That's it. Mean Gene.
Yeah, but you know...
but the Soul Vault, we featured the OJs, the Spinners. We've had interviews with Smokey Robinson, more of the Motown artists that we have archived interviews with. Russell Tompkins Jr., we talked with him on occasion. God rest his soul, Cuba Gooding Sr., the main ingredient, lost his life. And we had all those guys on the show, and we archived tons. I mean, if we get on the phone with someone, it's getting recorded, because somewhere down the road we can use it. And it's just hard to believe that some of those people are gone now.
What is one of your most exciting interviews that you've ever done, you know, that really just got you pumped up, that I can't believe I got this interview?
I think it was Bill Champlin with Chicago. He talked about leaving the group Chicago. He and Dave Foster, the Dave Foster, the Grammy Award winner, talked about their years there with Chicago and working with Earth, Wind, and Fire. People don't realize Bill wrote the song After the Love Is Gone for Earth, Wind, and Fire. Maurice came in, heard the cassette tape, and said, "What is that?" He said, "I just finished it." He says, "Well, if you don't release it, I want it." And, there's some great stories about life on the road that you can and sometimes you can't tell. Right. Especially in the bigger markets. Bill Champlin was a great one. Bruce Blackman is a lot of fun. You remember Moonlight Feels Right, Starbuck, 1975, 76. You'll have to ask Brian.
He probably knows the whole history behind it.
He knows all about it. But, this guy is in his late 70s and still recording music and putting out hits in the beach music market. So those kind of guys are fun to talk to. John Waite, Lenny Williams at the Tower of Power. I think the funniest story I ever heard was Billy Vera talking about sending At This Moment to Clive Davis, the Clive Davis.
Oh, okay.
Clive turned it down. He said, "I appreciate your effort, but that song, no, it's not good." Little did he know it would turn out to be At This Moment with Family Ties and the history from there.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a beautiful song.
Oh, it truly is.
Yeah, I bet some of these artists, even the big artists like that was presented with some writings of some music, I bet that they, when they turn it down and then turns around and comes one of these big hits, I bet they just say, "Oh, why did I do that?
What was I thinking?" Exactly.
Yeah, I think Dolly Parton had quite a few like that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
But you've talked to a lot of great artists, and some of them sorry they left this world here. And that to me is some great times that you've had, that recordings that you've archived. And you say, well, I might need this one day.
Absolutely.
That you can go back and say, I talked to these people. I guess the biggest interview that I had that I really loved was Air Supply.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was, and the funny thing with that, is that Carowinds, they come there and play. And I
Yes, sir.
set up through the
Yeah.
management team to do an interview with them. And I had to park, it seemed like 2 miles away. And I was a little hefty too back then. And so I got all my equipment set up, and you used VHS, so it wasn't no digital. And I opened it up, and I left my VHS tape in the car. I had to hurry and run and get it and run back. By the time I got back, I was sweating. I was going out of breath. They thought it was
Oh,
funny.
absolutely.
I
But you'll
didn't,
never forget it, will you?
no, I didn't think it was funny. But
Not at that time.
but you have moments like that, don't you?
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Many a times. I remember we had Jesse Peck of the Spinners not long ago, was in North Myrtle Beach. We had him at State Theater, New Jersey, and I do a lot of the commercials for State Theater, New Jersey. And that's another part of what I do. And oftentimes I get to interview the people that are coming through there. And Jesse is the bass singer for the Spinners. And you talk about embarrassed. He called for the interview, and of course, we had a computer that wasn't working. So it was, hey, it was like, Jesse, please forgive me. I'll call you right back. No problem. 5 attempts. He was very, very patient. Thank God. And we got one of the best interviews ever, talking about how he joined the Spinners, how their legacy continues. And it was right before Harvey passed away, actually, a couple of months back. And he talks about, the music of keeping the music alive is a challenge. Everyone, it's a microwave world. I look at my 4-year-old granddaughter, Raylan, and she's singing Taylor Swift songs. And it blows my mind. She knows the lyrics. She can dance just like her. And you think, we got to capture all this, or it's going to be gone.
Exactly.
So it's a work of love.
That's why I like the videos that I do.
Yes,
Sometimes
sir.
I'll do some crazy ones like that. Last one be dancing on the porch, but
Sure.
but capturing with my grandkids and creating some things with them and getting this, you capture these things that this if you didn't do it, it would go away. It'd just be a memory, your memory, instead of sharing your memory with others.
Denise has a philosophy. She keeps saying, we've got to make those memories for the granddaughters. We have 2 granddaughters and another one on the way. So it's, every day you got to make sure it's fully tasted. You got to know that you did something to impact those kids in one way or the other. And hopefully 20, 30, 40 years from now, when I'm gone, they'll remember, hey, Papa was pretty cool.
Right.
He knew all these people. We had fun. He made me laugh, and I felt safe. That's all I can ask for.
Well, you know what? They might be sitting there with maybe their kids. They're watching some kind of documentary on there about some of the rock and roll, some of the beach artists, and some of these big artists like that. They're gonna sit there. My pop right there. He interviewed that person, or he knows that person, and
That's right.
and it
That's right.
and that's just gonna make them really. Now,
You got to love it.
this is a question I got to ask you too. When you first went
Yes, sir.
went into DJ, and unfortunately I did this. Well, I should have moved that. I did. Is that? Did you have a radio voice that you tried to do in the beginning?
I probably did. I think everyone did. You try to be someone that you're not when you first start. I think there are days that I still try to do that. I don't know if I talk like this when I'm talking to Denise or not, but I truly believe that in an odd way, radio saved my life, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I started there as a kid in Union, Damie at Hodges Music.
Right.
Barbara and all those folks kind of took me in. I remember back in the day when a small radio station like WBCU didn't get service from major labels. We had to go across the street and buy it from Jimmy or Tom.
Right.
So every Thursday or Friday, I would trek over with my list, and she had them ready for me. And it's things like that that stand out when you're growing up. When I was 14, Jack Roper, was working doing the mornings. He and Ruth Cole were doing the morning show, I believe. And he was in the production studio on a Saturday, and I banged on the door, let me in, let me in. 14. He let me in. He said, when you hear Bob Fulton say, this is the Gamecock Network, you press this button, throw this button, and then when he says, at the end of that commercial, you press that button to get Bob back on. Yes, sir. That's how it started. So it was kind of a labor of love. Jack helped me a great deal. Carlisle Henderson would come in. You know, he started the show at 5:36 in the morning, and he would come at 4 and let me go in and play in the studio and try to figure out how to segue records and time them out. One of the best sports guys I've ever heard in my life was Glenn Ivey. He had the furniture store, and then he has storage facilities there now. Gene Riley was a wonderful guy. But Ed Osborne became like a second dad to me. My dad worked with Milliken forever. My grandfather, who many of you may know, was Chester Gwinn, who had Dixie Shoe Shop on Main Street. And it was across the street from Smith Jewelry Store with Al and all those folks. So it's a very close, small town. Everyone knows everyone, and what they don't know, they make up and add a chapter to it. So it's everyone supported each other. It felt like back in the 70s they did anyway.
I guess when I was watching the old WKRP Cincinnati, or Johnny Fever, he'd always hold his hand up to his ear like that. It said, Johnny Fever. And I thought,
so he could hear himself.
It would be pretty cool like that. So my first radio station,
I think
air.
What was the other guy? The other guy on Laugh-In used to do that. Gary.
Oh yes.
Gary Burbank or whatever.
Yes. Laugh-In. Roland Martin Laugh-In.
There you go.
But
he did that so he could hear himself talk, because it becomes an earphone, because your voice bounces into your hand and you can hear it over the music.
Right. And you probably still do that, and I do it when we're doing commercials, for taping commercials.
Sure.
Because you hear it differently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Then you go back and say, why did I say that? Or I need to enunciate this a little differently, and go back, and you'll do a 30-second commercial. It'll take you an hour.
Yeah.
Just because you're a perfectionist, and you want, because it's like Don Wise says, once it's out there, it's out there. It's not coming back.
Right.
And you want to make sure it's, we did the Keepsake Jewelers for you.
Right.
We wanted to make sure it was perfect. I wanted the people there to be happy with it. I wanted you to be happy with it.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully they sold some jewelry.
Yeah.
And that's what you try to do.
Yeah, you try to market it, and you marketing yourself, and you know yourself that you have all these programs and things going in,
sure.
And you give people opportunity. I know you had recently a sponsorship to go into. Help me with this. Just send it out there just because you had a deadline there to, if you want to become a member or sponsor to.
Yeah.
So what was that? Freshman.
It may have been the Carolina Beach Music Academy Awards.
That's what it was.
Coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Carolina Beach Music Academy is celebrating its 30th year of promoting Carolina Beach music. Peter and Curtis Carpenter, the founders, along with Billy Scott, God rest Billy's soul. That tradition continues. It is the second Sunday in November at the Alabama Theater. The deadline to join in order to nominate Jerry McKee for his radio program, Prime Time, would be July the 1st. So if you want to join, go to cami.org. There's a category there for different programs, and I think one of the categories is live broadcast. You could nominate Jerry McKee as Prime Time, and if enough nominations are there, it'll be voted on in August, and the winner announced in November.
Wow. I was pulling up here something you sent me here. Support your favorite artists, bands, DJs, venues by joining the Carolina Beach Music Academy. The 30th annual, actually.
Yes, sir.
It's been going on 30 years. And now this is going to be at the Alabama Theater at Barefoot Landing?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, what will they have there at the theater? Will it just be like an awards, music awards nomination?
It is
Like
a music award. It's a music award show, but at the same time, you'll have different artists. For example, Gary Lauder and Smoking Hot will be playing the Band of Oz, Jim Quick and Coastline, and the list goes on and on. In between some of the announcements, it's a virtual who's who of beach music there to showcase their talent for the people that joined the association. I was very honored this past year to be named to the board of directors of the South Carolina Entertainment and Music Hall of Fame that's based out of Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
We held that event at Furman University at McAllister Auditorium. Josh Turner, the country superstar, was inducted along with Dr. Mac Arnold, Jane Robelo of TV7. Faye Chrisley was inducted into the Hall of Fame for her part of Chrisley Knows Best. So it's more than just beach music. We tried to encompass anyone that's involved in entertainment, in music, statewide. And that's a new thing that's going on. Dr. Godbolt is the CEO. Roy Costner, who runs a lot of the county liaison with the governor's office. And it's a state-sponsored event. And Justin Williams is the director. And it's an incredible program. And hopefully you'll get more information on that as time goes on. And next fall, we'll be back at Furman and put on another great show.
Now, this is being held the 7th through the 10th, so that's a few days there, isn't it?
Yeah, the Carolina Beach Music Academy Award Show, that goes on for 3 days. It starts Thursday night with the some of the first bands playing at Fat Harold's, Ducks, and all the legacy theaters down here. But the actual award show is held at the Alabama Theater on Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Oh, at 3 o'clock.
So there's a lot of partying and adult entertainment going on all weekend long.
Okay. Well, yeah, that would be nice to. Will it be live streamed?
I think there's on occasion they do that. Fred Shaw out of Florence handles the media part, and I know that some of that could be live streamed, and I'll reach out to the people and see if we can get you in there to do that.
Hey, that'd be great. Yep, that'd be great. Now you have another one here, Our Northern Soul Journeys, Book 3.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I've got a lot of free time on my hands. As you can tell, Denise is laughing in the background. This is the third book will be coming out in December. I was fortunate to meet some people in the UK and Australia, and I wrote about the experiences of working with soul artists like James Brown and Leroy Harper Jr., Fred Thomas, all those guys that actually played with James Brown. The stories that they could tell would blow your mind. But we put all that in writing, and we included it in those books. We did the stories of Russell Tompkins Jr., some of the other soul artists. We did an outline on the Chitlin circuit with the information that Billy Scott gave us. That was in book number 2, along with kind of a bio of all the work that I do. Book number 3 coming out is going to be our top 50 of all time of beach music and soul music. It will have a story behind each one of them. And, there's a radio station down here that I scratch my head with a lot. And I won't mention any call letters. But think about this. If you're the beach music station and you list Otis Redding's Dock of the Bay as the number 100 beach music song of all time, I think it's kind of not the way it should be. So we're coming out with one that's we think is, we all have opinions. You know what they say about that. We have 2 elbows.
Exactly.
But I think that it was kind of skewed with some of the local artists being involved in it. So this is more of a national, international top 50 that we're coming out with. It will actually air, the actual broadcast will be July 4th weekend. And you'll hear it on Union Station, WBCU, think Sunday night at 6 is when Daniel runs it.
Okay.
So you'll be able to hear that, hear some of the artists talk about the different songs. And in that, we're going to take all that content, put it in book number 3, along with some other pretty cool things that we're putting in there. So book number 3 is on the way.
Now, can people purchase the merchandise?
Oh, yeah. It's, the book number 2 went to number 2 on Amazon in the UK and Australia, which is pretty incredible. It's Our Soul Music Journey. John Warren is the lead writer in it. In fact, he's the one that paid for all the publishing, so he gets his name on the book. He can keep it there. I don't want to pay for it. Yeah, I'll as soon as we get that done, I'll shoot you the note and let you know how to get it.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, I'm sure that you and Miss Edna will be mentioned in it.
You know, what I'm looking at here, it looked like the CD. I'm saying, well, is this on CD or is it on? But I think this is. I see now the center is even the.
Yeah.
A lot of people, younger folks, won't even know what that center is.
The old 45 RPM and the little plug that you put in there, they wouldn't know that.
Yeah, because they don't understand that the albums had a tiny hole, and that tiny hole and that other one and had a bigger hole in the 45s.
Yeah.
So you had to put that in there, unless you had
The adapter.
the big spindle that set over top of it was round that would open up and go. You know, they just missed all this stuff, didn't they?
Oh, they missed all the fun.
And the sound is totally different.
Oh, yeah. Vinyl is absolutely amazing. It's much richer. It's much warmer. And there's nothing like hearing the crackling of the start of a song after it's cue burned and you've worn it out.
Right. And you get, there was a couple songs out. I think I heard it on 101.1 one time. It's that it starts out with a guitar playing, but you hear it like that.
Yeah.
And it's playing, and all of a sudden, the other guitar comes in. If you got stereo, you're hearing that one like this, and it's cracking a little bit, and all of a sudden that comes in. It's like, whoa! I mean,
all the channels change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
They don't understand any of that anymore.
No, and I've got a stereo system in here that's got the turntable that goes through the Bose speakers and all that right there, and it plays all that. And
what you need to do is get one of your old Styx albums and listen to that. That has about 4 different channels that'll blow your mind the way they switch back and forth.
Yeah, and it goes from one speaker to the other. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you just can't beat the sound from back then.
No, not at all.
That's just an incredible difference in that.
Totally agree.
And I know when we was up in Nashville and went into the museum there, they had a lot of different older artists playing, you know, from Ernest Tubb and all this right here playing, and even that sound was different than you get into the 60s and 70s and 80s.
Sure.
So,
but there was only one Conway Twitty.
Yes, that's it.
Or Ricky Skaggs. You know, I believe each decade had their one signature artist, and I think those were 2 of the greatest.
Yeah, I put my speakers real loud on, and Edna was coming in right when she opened the door. I turned Conway on and says, "Hello, darling." I think she jumped about 3 feet. She wasn't expecting that.
Well, I'm sure she wasn't.
And where can people find you as far as they want to say, hey, you know, I want to go to Pat Gwinn's Facebook page. I want to go to his website, because I know you have all your different times and music schedules and stuff like that. People can listen to this.
Well, there's a big list at patgwinnradio.com. That's where all the affiliates are listed. Our sponsors are listed. We're working with a former drummer of Three Dog Night to promote a program that he's doing. And Jerry, I think you may find this to be kind of a heartwarming thing. He left the music industry to start a thing called the Awareness Foundation, innercityslickers.com. It's a huge ranch out in Texas. Here's the former drummer of Three Dog Night, had it made, all the money he needed, all the fame he needed, gave it all up to help kids that were in trouble. And so we're partnering with them, and you'll see a lot more of that. There'll be a blurb on that on our Facebook page here in the next few days. But to find our schedules, we post them pretty regularly all day, and I'm sure that some people block us because they get tired of seeing what we do. But we're on in Union every Sunday afternoon, either at 1 or at 6, depending on the Braves and the rain.
Right.
And we're on in Northeast Georgia, Atlanta. I mean, the list is all there, and we're on every day. If you want to hear us every day on Carolina Gold, you know, Jerry, between me and you, and Denise can't hear me right now, so I'm thinking about restarting Cool Winds Radio. So there's another outlet that'll be there all the time. So, and she just came around the corner with that look. So we're going to probably have to leave that alone for a minute. But I appreciate everything. And, you know, I love playing the music. I love hearing from the fans. And it was kind of cool this past week. I think it's 3 weeks now. I had a birthday. I turned 64 in May.
Right,
I got
so
a
young.
postcard. Yeah, I'm still a kid. Got a postcard and a birthday card from a listener in New Jersey. I got a Father's Day card from someone in New York. I mean, it's cool to have people that think they know you.
Right.
And when you go into their home, and it's like Johnny Carson says, you get to go into someone's home all the time. You don't know what they're going through, but maybe you made them smile that day.
Right.
And that's what
or some of your music triggered something back in their days that just made them happy. And myself,
trying to make them.
when I hear music, sometimes it'll just capture and make you do some crazy moves.
It does. It does. You just pray they're in the camera run.
Hey, since you do all this music and you're playing all this music, right? All right, how's your dance skills?
Oh, they're horrible. Pat does not dance. Absolutely do not dance.
Well, I
There
think
are maybe there are 2 or 3 photos of me on Facebook where I'm standing there and Denise is just going around me.
well, I figured that you would be an expert in shagging.
No, sir. Not at all.
Now,
No, sir.
Does Denise, does she dance?
Oh, Denise was in Joffrey Ballet. I mean, all of it. Jacob's
Oh, wow.
Ballet. Denise is she's a nationally known dancer. I mean, they won a national championship with jazz and all kind of stuff. And Denise took dance at Lander University, and it was frowned upon at Erskine, but she still did it. But she's an incredible dancer, and people come up and ask her to dance, and I say, please, please, please.
Well,
Yeah.
she should have taught you how to dance.
Yeah, you can take that horse to water. You can't make him drink.
Okay, make him dance, huh?
That's right.
Yeah, I've done a few that I called it dancing, but other people differently.
Some people thought you had Tourette's.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, but it was. But it's fun when your foot starts tapping. Whenever you hear music, all of a sudden it's almost like you got a nerve in your legs. Uh-oh, here it comes.
Here we go. Hold me back.
Well, see, if you can't dance, how's your singing, Pat?
I don't sing. I sang. The last time I sang in public was at my wedding. I sang "The Wind Beneath My Wings" to Denise at our wedding, and that was 30 plus years ago. And that's the last time I've ever sang in public.
Yeah, I've sang some, but I also sung to my wife at our wedding.
Did you?
Yes.
What did you sing?
I sang,
do you remember?
Yes. We could be. It's a religious song. I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And so I sung that to her. And
Incredible.
I will be here. She just opened the door.
Oh, she corrected you.
Corrected me on it.
Absolutely.
You know,
Well, you and I are very lucky to have women to keep us in place.
Exactly. Sometimes we'll judge artists a lot of times when they get up. And that's why I like the voice where they don't see the artist, and it really surprises me to try and see what the person looks like. And I tell you what happened was the Jelly Roll.
Yes, sir.
I looked
Incredible
at him
artist.
for country. I'm looking at him and says, "What? This guy's playing country? No way." And he sung that song, "Save Me."
Yes,
I
sir.
says, "Oh my goodness!" And when I first heard the song, I said, "Who sings that? What?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And he's got an incredible backstory as well.
Yes.
He overcame a ton of addiction, a ton of issues in his life, and He's turned it around.
Yeah.
And music had a big part of it.
Yeah, he was in Nashville the week we was up there.
Oh, great.
Didn't get to see him, but he was up there during that time. So.
That's great.
Well, Pat, we're right here to getting close to the top of the hour right here. And
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love hearing
Anytime.
love hearing the stories and all, because you got a vast all these years that
Yeah.
having a job you love, and it's like Hank Parker was telling me, he's a national fisherman, bass
Yes, sir.
fisherman, and he told me, he says, you know what, he says, I have the best job in the world, and because that's all he's done, has been a professional fisherman, and
Yes, sir.
I kind of thinking, I says, well, where you go when you're on vacation? Fish.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So
I don't go fishing.
the best job in the world, and it's just like you
There
have
you
there,
go.
and the meeting all the people that you meet. I mean, that's. Do you get your picture taken with them when you meet them in person?
Yeah, we've got a few. We got a few archived. There's one on my Facebook page today with Eddie Floyd.
Right. Yep.
You remember him with Knock on Wood?
Yep.
Stax artist. Yeah, we've got a ton of them. Jeff Cook of Alabama and many, many more.
You ever ask
Lot
them,
of fun.
some of these artists, it's like the Three Dog Night, ask them how they got
Yes,
their
sir.
name?
I'm sorry?
How like Three Dog Night, how did they come up with that name?
Oh, Three Dog Night. That's a term used for a very cold night. You need
Yes.
3 dogs to keep you warm. Yeah,
Yeah.
to lay across the bottom of the bed or whatever.
That's what they used to do years ago when
Yeah.
they struck up the fire and they got the dogs come in and have them lay down there and they
Yeah.
kept them warm.
That's it.
John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band,
Yep.
they got their name. They started playing real good and they said, well, we got to come up with a name. So
Sure.
they closed themselves up in the garage and they was thinking, said, what are we going to call our name? And they happened to look over on the shelf and there was a can of paint called Beaver Brown.
Oh, wow.
So they said, let's name it that, John Cafferty and
That's
the Beaver
perfect.
Brown Band.
Do you know the story behind Too Much Sylvia?
No,
I'll leave you with this one. Too Much Sylvia is a group that's based out of Charlotte. 2 of the lead members are former members of Sugar Creek. If you remember Sugar Creek,
Yeah.
they went all the way to number 2 on Ed McMahon's Star Search. Turns out that Don and Rick and Eddie and the other player all knew this girl, Sylvia, all too well. They all dated her at one time or another. And one of them said, well, that's just too much Sylvia.
wow,
That's how the band got its name.
my goodness. And all of them dated her.
Yes, sir.
Well, Pat, enjoyed having you on my show, and we'll be keeping you in our prayers to keep going strong,
Thank you, my friend.
and we'll talk about that cool winds.
We'll do it. Give my love to my little sister if you see her down there.
I will definitely tell her. You have a great night, okay?